Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Coin Lady channel. This is a continuation of yesterday's video, in which I discussed the Great Reset. Some viewers commented that they were disappointed that I hadn't addressed the possibility of fighting back against the Great Reset. Now that I've stumbled into a fantastic thread, I'm going to pass it along to you. I'll explain everything as we go. However, some commenters argued that they were misinterpreting XRP. They claim that the current financial system can only be fixed by using RippleNet and XRP once CBDCs fail. Consider reverting to the gold standard if necessary. We aren't quite there yet, so there is still some room for speculation, but you can probably guess what's coming. I also think the big reset can go wrong sometimes. The world's elite are currently working to put the big reset into effect, and they will only be successful if we give in to their demands. The good news is that it's still possible. If you want to hold out till the Great Reset is over, here are 23 methods to do it. First and foremost, unplug the television or, better yet, get rid of it. The same propaganda is reported by major media around the world, creating widespread fear. Furthermore, it has been recognized since the 1980s that television can have a negative impact on mental health. Yet they continue to brazenly try to convince us that TV is beneficial when we are forced to spend extended periods of time alone at home owing to illogical and arbitrary lockdowns. At this point, the majority of people throughout the epidemic would watch Fox News or CNN. They were curious about events occurring in other parts of the globe. You, on the other hand, don't just watch the news on TV, you also watch other shows. If you can see clearly, keep it in mind. They prefer to smuggle their agenda into every TV show for the folks who are still asleep, so you may watch shows and call attention to it as you go. Only Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum thinks it's a good idea for us to eat bugs, so we should all eat plenty of pasture meat and stop beating the chickens. I'm not saying that fried locusts are never good. Despite what the media would have us believe, this is not the way we should be eating in the future. Instead of eating bugs, we should stick to the traditional fare of our ancestors: meat, fish, shellfish, roots, eggs, vegetables, and fruits. There's no harm in treating yourself to a steak or burger at a restaurant. Even a salad can be delicious once in a while. No one wants to eat bugs, though. Don't exceed the daily maximum of 8 grams of sugar. Like addictive drugs, sugar changes the neural connections in the brain. Human studies show the association between added sugar and increased inflammatory markers, yet most of us don't even realize how much we're contributing to the problem. Your body will reward you if you refrain from consuming sugar. I'm absolutely guilty of this one, especially before filming a video, because I love coffee. It stimulates my speech for some reason. But again, reducing sugar intake is usually a smart idea. No one benefits from it. Fourth, learn to read and understand scientific studies and other non-biased media. Alternative media such as Telegram Substacks, newsletters, topical blogs, critic, Twitter accounts, and general news are all excellent options. It's a good idea to educate yourself on how to read scientific papers, which often contain biased methodologies. Because of this, you will be able to make better choices. Also, you should make it a priority to further your education. You should always consider the accompanying narrative when considering one story. Because it's like watching Fox and then abruptly switching to CNN, the difference is striking. Educate yourself further, you need to consider alternatives. Get a sturdy automobile with few gadgets and hit the road. Among the benefits is that such automobiles tend not to break down frequently. Despite the fact that electric cars have a much larger environmental footprint than conventional cars with a combustion engine, the thought of purchasing one in the midst of an energy crisis and blackouts has crossed your mind. I've mentioned this in several videos. I predicted long ago that the value of classic automobiles would skyrocket. The built-in tracking devices in these modern automobiles are something that passengers will want to avoid. Furthermore, the experience no longer resembles that of purchasing a car. It's the equivalent of purchasing a laptop at a car lot. The bite-back number 6 disagree with vaccination programs, carbon dioxide travel documents, and electronic identification in this way. The German Green Party, which is a coalition partner in the current administration, suggested climate passports long before the pandemic. Carbon offsets and social scores are on the horizon. It's just a question of when. Fortunately, they won't be successful if not enough people agree with them. This level of gaslighting and blackmailing must never happen again. I know many people who received the vaccine only to be allowed to fly. The backs, once again, were a no-go for me for a variety of reasons. After witnessing how hard they were working, I realized that such a regimen could only endanger the participants' health. However, we must also refuse digital IDs because the entire procedure works in stages. Be self-sufficient in water, food and electricity. Governments fear nothing more than self-sufficient and independent citizens. First, you get the digital ID, then a CBDC comes, then you get the digital wallet, and then they try to put the chip in you. No taxes will be levied on the food you raise and produce yourself. As a bonus, you'll be harder to blackmail. If you live in a city and have access to a balcony or roof terrace, you probably have enough area to cultivate pesticide, read vegetables, and soak up some sun. You can also consider becoming a member of a garden club. I also think that in the future, people may use food as a weapon, thus it's important for them to learn how to grow their own food. Similarly, yesterday's film addressed the topic of water for your land and farming. As said up top, having access to your own plot of land is critical in today's climate, but before you start planting anything there, I recommend watching some of the excellent films on composting and mulching that can be found on Rumbling Odyssey. You can also benefit from learning about permaculture and agroforestry. Your whole family, including your grandparents, siblings, and cousins, can live off the produce, eggs, and meat produced in an area as little as 100 square miles. In the future, if I had enough XRP, I might invest in some land so that I can go away from people and establish my own little community. However, there are alternative approaches. Because of our ingrained routines, even city dwellers would be wise to investigate Linux and Calyx OS for their personal security. This next step may be challenging, but it's necessary to protect your privacy. This is a really important stage. One of our principal adversaries is big tech. Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg and China's TikTok CCP are the last people you want to have intimate knowledge of who you are. Ubuntu suppose Linux is my favorite because it is attractive and simple to use. You may take control of your privacy using Calyx OS, an Android operating system. People keep telling me I need to step away from YouTube and give Rumbling a try. And I've been thinking about that for a long time. You avoid using Google as much as possible, too. For mobile searches, I prefer Firefox on my Android phone. While I agree that Google has some great tools, I also respect the privacy concerns of the number 2 seer, X, and the bravest among us by not using the search engine. Google, however, is not just a harmless search engine, it is also a dangerous data miner. Xerox is a fantastic option to consider. Equally so, the self-sufficient search engine that is bold. Back your allies instead than your adversaries. When possible, use hard currency rather than bonus programs that store your money. Since I voiced my viewpoint on the internet, I have been unable to get a bank account for the past year. Many other dissidents have also had their assets frozen or banned. If you do everything online, you're setting yourself up to be the ideal slave. Nobody gives money away for free, but they do utilize your data to make money. It seems like now would be a good time to cut ties with the bank. In particular, with the financial institutions being in crisis. I've been emphasizing this point for some time. Because I don't like the digital system and don't trust the banks to not fail, I keep only enough in there to cover my monthly bills. The rest of my money goes into cryptocurrency. Numerous things. If you make a payment on a Friday, it won't be deducted until the following Monday or Tuesday. It's also painfully slow. To protect children from indoctrination, think about homeschooling. I'm aware that homeschooling is frowned upon in some nations, and that not everyone has the means to relocate to one where it's legal. But you can prepare your kids for the real world by teaching them important lessons. 90% of everything I studied in school was completely useless in the real world. Right now, problems are real. The school does not provide instruction on practical matters such as wiring a house, fixing a leaky roof, reducing waste, or dodging taxes. When you think about it, by the time you reach high school, you don't really need to attend a school anymore, they don't teach you anything useful for real life. It's important to acquire the greatest education possible, and these days, that includes looking into online schools. Connecting with like-minded people is essential to maintaining sanity, whether you find them online, at the local church, in your neighborhood, or in sports clubs. In this way, you can monitor what your children are being taught and provide mutual support, if necessary. In light of a 2015 study showing that social factors, and particularly isolation, have a significant impact on individual well-being, I try to surround myself with people from all walks of life, even if I don't always agree with what they have to say. But I appreciate hearing their perspectives. You should always put yourself in the company of people who can give you praise. For example, I come on here and make movies for you because you get it. When I talk to folks who aren't in the crypto industry, they usually have no idea what I'm talking about. My focus is on XRP. And I'm sure they think I've lost my mind. I warn that the banks will eventually crash, and they say it will never happen. I discussed a CBDC with them. And I've been labeled a conspiracy theorist. I let them know that the government is actively trying to suppress their rights. And they consider me completely insane. It's interesting to hear their perspective, though. Along the way, you can learn how other people think, too, because you can read what they say when they're asleep, and it's usually really humorous, as it's all government-driven nonsense to get an idea of what they think. In this day and age of the big reset and cancelled culture, think twice before hitting send. Emotional fragility is a common experience. Don't bother writing letters or posting on social media. Try typing it out, saving it as a draft, and then taking a break. If you can, give it some thought overnight. When you wake up, you'll be able to make a more rational choice. Even when I'm actively seeking for topics to discuss with you guys, folks tweet the oddest things. Many things don't make the cut because they are too far out there for me to comprehend. This is completely insane. Therefore, it is up to you to ensure your own well-being. Whether you decide to binge on a few Big Macs tonight or make a nutritious homemade polio dish is your choice. Nobody else, and especially not the corrupt, is responsible for your health but you. It's your choice to get an adequate blood serum level of vitamin D and decrease the number of times you have to visit the doctor. It's your choice to go to bed early tonight to get sufficient sleep. It's your choice to achieve an adequate blood serum level of vitamin D. It's your choice to watch a Netflix series tonight or go and lift weights instead. It's your choice whether you will lurk on social media tonight or go to bed early to get sufficient sleep. It's your choice. The ruling class, especially to you, Genist, believes that there is an excess of human beings on the planet and that we must reduce the population by discouraging women from having children, demonizing the concept of family population control through vaccines and abortions, etc. But overpopulation is just a made-up problem. If you have the financial means, having more than 2 children is perfectly acceptable. However, the philanthropist will find this unacceptable. Also, don't let your kids win too easily and teach them how to think strategically. They will remember that as a proud time when they have earned their place as you. They also have a tendency to target members of their own families. One of the globalists' central concepts is that a smaller population will be easier to manage than the current one. Do not stop voicing your viewpoint. More decibels, please. I get that many of you are reluctant to speak up or risk losing your employment. I've gone there twice and it was horrible both times. I lost everything both times. This is the best time in my life. Being brave like that opens up a lot of opportunities. It's important to constantly speak up. Doing so in the comments section is always welcomed and encouraged by me. At my videos. Since I get bombarded by bots and I don't want you to be confused and wind up chatting with one for 20 minutes, I've taken to giving you the thumbs up and sending you hearts once I read your message. However, I value your feedback immensely. Exercise is always excellent, so try to do that instead of spending as much time on social media. If that means going for a walk once in a while, great. If it means going to the gym every day, then that's up to you. Support local businesses and stop supporting multinational corporations like Nestle, Pepsi, Cola, Kraft, etc. Prepared foods include harmful chemicals. So, avoid buying from international corporations that have excessive worldwide market share in the processed food industry. Growing and eating your own food and supporting local businesses can strengthen bonds within a neighborhood. When possible, I try to buy things made or grown in the area. For the simple reason that I appreciate supporting local businesses and that farm fresh produce is delicious. In addition, I make a conscious effort to abstain from soda and engage in constructive spiritual practices. I could care less if you're a Bible-believing Christian or a karma and energy skeptic. All that matters to me is that you're spiritual. In times of emotional stress or disease, spirituality frequently becomes more important because it can help you deal with stress by giving you a sense of calm, purpose, and forgiveness. Another aspect of the desire for a global religion is this. I read your posts, so you already know. Many of you have probably asked me to read the Bible's book of Revelation several times. And I'll tell you that everything I read there seems to be coming true right now. Put some of your cash into gold, cryptocurrency, real estate, etc. Don't place your faith in cryptocurrency or large financial institutions. Metals and real estate are two of the few investments I feel confident in. It's prudent to spread your investments around whenever possible, but it's more important to do so now since a global crisis unlike any in recent memory may be imminent. Having some gold-plated silver on hand is always a good idea. Cryptography is fascinating to me. Because it must be used no matter what, I continue to believe that XRP is the one thing that will ultimately bring us prosperity and freedom from financial constraints. But you must be very prudent in your spending of such potentially life-altering income. Drop the pretense and started actually talking to people. Mathematical requirements might be on the way back. It's best to not give in and put on a happy front for manipulative folks. Anti-globalists who use tricks to spread joy are infectious. In this way, you can contribute to ending a widespread mental breakdown. I dropped the disguise quickly. Possibly on 2 or 3 occasions, I worked in retail. Then I realized, you know what? This is completely stupid. Simply put, I had my doubts about the mask's efficacy from the start. We need support, from a scientist and some journalists. Please become one of my Twitter followers. And you should absolutely stalk Dr. Simon on Twitter. Apologies to Kodak. And as I was reading it, I thought, this is something I need to tell all of you. I think it sums things up fairly well, actually. Let's keep the 1% in power, with their 4% of sellout puppets, since the other 90% aren't paying attention, and the 1% doesn't want the 5% to succeed in waking up the other 90%. I thought that was a fantastic tweet because it perfectly captured the essence of the situation. The 1% is using the 4% to silence the 5%. Do you know that Washington, D.C. is not actually a state in the United States? It's a sovereign city-state controlled by international bankers and used to project American military might abroad. DC will never be the solution to America's ills. The problem with America lies in Washington, D.C. We also live in a period when the United States government is actively working to stifle crypto and other forms of innovation. And I plan to make another video where I elaborate a bit on that. However, as long as they continue to stifle innovation, they will also stifle the small investor. But they are the very folks that are constantly battling on our behalf. They are not on our side because they are representing the interests of the big banks. Everything you thought you knew is actually backwards, and only the very observant can see through the illusion that covers our world. We make our home in the underworld. I'm going to wrap up this video like this because we're living in a period where everything you taught your kids is obsolete. Suddenly, it's okay to be wrong. It all feels backwards and upside down. And most of us can see it because our eyes aren't closed. We can see right through what's going on. However, we must never lose sight of the fact that we are also crypto investors. Everyone in the crypto industry is aware of the Great Reset, which is the weirdest part about working in the industry. And I see new channels appearing lately, so I know that most crypto investors or people who talk about crypto are actually waking others up around it. For this purpose, cipher channels were once widely employed. There are now channels that either actively oppose the World Economic Forum or that initially focus on cryptocurrency before pivoting to discuss the Great Reset exclusively. The likes of that are also occurring. Despite my best efforts, I will never be able to abandon the crypto-focused content of this channel. For the simple reason that I intend to keep everyone holding it for as long as they can. Because making money has always been the driving force behind this channel. I think that about covers it for this video, and I also hope that I was able to answer some of your questions in the comments. I appreciate everyone who has tuned in. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you in the next one. Bye.